This giant flying turtle has many names: the Invincible, friend to all children, guardian of the universe. First seen in the 1960s, created by Daiei to act as a market rival to TOHO's own Godzilla. It started out as a villain of his own story before evolving to become a guardian and ally to humanity, protecting us from all sorts of aliens and monsters. Over the course of 40 years, Gamera starred in 12 feature films, with the last one, Gamera the Brave, releasing 16 years ago, all the way back in 2006. So, where has this kaiju been? And could he ever make an appearance in the MonsterVerse? Well, some concept art for Godzilla King of the Monsters certainly tells us that could happen. So, let's take a look at whether Gamera would work in the MonsterVerse. Before we discuss how he could work in the MonsterVerse, let's take a look at this classic kaiju. First appearing in 1965, a crashing plane detonates a nuclear bomb. The explosion awaits a giant prehistoric turtle with tusks. Gamera. Showa Gamera stands at 197 feet tall and weighs a measly 80 metric tons, significantly lighter than Showa Godzilla, who weighs 20,000 tons. Gamera proceeds to lead a path of destruction, sinking an expedition vessel and destroying a thermonuclear power plant before making landfall for Tokyo, wreaking havoc on Japan's capital. It's discovered that the kaiju consumes flames, fossil fuels, nuclear material, and even lava, all to generate thermal energy that sustains his bodily functions and abilities. One such ability being flight. By retracting his limbs and head, jets shoot from his body and it spins as it takes flight. This led people to believe that Gamera was initially a flying saucer. Another ability is the flame breath. This can be used to destroy anything within the vicinity of the blast. In an attempt to stop the monster, the JSDF, United States, and the Soviet Union worked together to conjure up a plan to launch Gamera into space. By using fire, they were able to bait Gamera into the rocket, trapping him inside, before taking off, shooting him out the atmosphere on a one-way ticket to Mars, which saved Japan and the world from any more of Gamera's onslaught. Celebrations would be short-lived though, as the rocket carrying Gamera was struck by a meteor, destroying the rocket and freeing the monster, leaving him to fly back to Earth. The rest of the Showa series has Gamera encounter various different monsters such as Barugon, not to be confused by Baragon, a four-legged reptilian beast with spikes protruding down its back and a large horn growing from its nose. Another monster, Gaios, a species of large vampire bat-like kaiju, would become Gamera's arch-nemesis, appearing in 5 of his 12 films. One of his most bizarre enemies, Guiron, looks like a large sword. This film was actually my first introduction to the series, so you can imagine my reaction when I saw this scene. I was instantly hooked. Gamera would fight an array of monsters throughout the Showa series, and with each entry saw the monster become more and more of a friend to humanity, where by its 7th entry had Gamera coming to the rescue of children from alien invaders. It's safe to say Gamera had quite the tonal shift throughout the years, but the biggest change would happen in 1995 when the series entered a new era. Inspired by the Heisei era of Godzilla films, Daiei entered the fray with their own series of Gamera films, this time being much darker, grittier, with groundbreaking new special effects that even Godzilla had a tough time competing with. Heisei Gamera is slightly larger, standing 80 meters tall and weighs 120 metric tons. Being given a new, more detailed design, Gamera became a sort of anti-hero, a monster that would save children from harm, but will still smash some buildings in the process. There are even those that view Gamera as an outright villain due to the collateral damage, which is explored in the third and final Heisei film, Gamera 3: Revenge of Iris. His origin has also been altered, this time being a guardian monster genetically engineered by an ancient civilization that spawned the myth of Atlantis. A radical change from his simple, prehistoric monster origins from the Showa era. Heisei Gamera is extremely powerful. He's extremely capable in close combat, is able to spit plasma fireballs, regenerate wounds at extreme speeds, and even has an ultimate plasma attack that fires from his chest, which was used to destroy Legion in Gamera 2. But that's it for the Heisei era. What about the Millennium? Well, there's only one film here, Gamera the Brave, which was released in 2006. Not connected to any of the previous Gamera films, this story sets up its own continuity where Gamera sacrificed himself to kill a flock of Gaios in 1973. 30 years later, an egg is found which turns out to be the reincarnation of Gamera, who grows up to become a defender of humanity, thwarting an attack from Zedus, a bipedal, dinosaur-like creature who came ashore to feed on mankind. So, with Gamera the Brave being the last film in the series to release, where does that leave us now? There were reports of a new Gamera film being made in 2015, with a proof-of-concept trailer being leaked that showcased an entirely CGI Gamera blasting a swarm of Gaios out of the sky. This trailer was super impressive and got us all hyped to see a new iteration of the Guardian of the Universe. But this unfortunately never came to fruition. So, will this kaiju ever see a return to the silver screen? Well, if you look closely on this Godzilla King of the Monsters concept art, you can actually see Gamera sneakily hidden in the corner. Could this mean the kaiju is being considered to make an appearance in the Legendary series? Well, it's hard to say. Concept art often features placeholder imagery, as you can also see Final War's Gigan is even present in a similar piece of concept art. But this definitely tells us that Gamera was on the minds of those that made the films. Godzilla and Gamera have been competitors in the Japanese movie monster market for decades, so it only makes sense for them to meet in a new installment. Which got me thinking, how would Gamera be handled if it were to appear in the MonsterVerse? What could his origin be? Well, it would probably have more in common with the Showa iteration of the character, being a prehistoric animal that feeds on the Earth's natural resources and radiation. This may point to Godzilla and Gamera's species encountering each other thousands or even millions of years ago. Gamera's species, being natural protectors, dislike Godzilla's authoritarian rule and would face off against each other for leadership. Since we finally see the Hollow Earth in Godzilla vs. Kong, this opens up countless opportunities to explore monsters and civilizations never before discovered. The explorers quickly encountered the Warbats, huge flying snake-like creatures, so it could be more than likely that somewhere in the Hollow Earth lives Gamera, the last of his kind, who fled after his species were hunted down by Godzilla's kind. It could even incorporate elements from the Atlantean origin of the Heisei era, where ancient humans cared for Gamera's species before their civilization fell to the ocean depths within the Hollow Earth. This could even connect with the fallen city we see in King of the Monsters, and could derive from warring human factions, with some that worship Godzilla and some that worshipped Gamera. If the next MonsterVerse entry does end up being the rumored Kong film, the story could be centered around him searching the Hollow Earth for other members of his species, something that was hinted at in Godzilla vs. Kong. He could then come across Gamera, who, as a natural protector and the last of his kind, has taken up duties as the guardian of the last remaining members of Kong's species. This would allow Gamera to be introduced in a faithful fashion as a vastly different kind of monster to both Kong and Godzilla, allowing him to stand out amongst the crowd. But how would you introduce Gamera into the MonsterVerse? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you want to see more Gamera content, then leave a like, because it helps us know what you want to see more of. Don't forget to subscribe and stomp the notification button to become a resident of Dangerville today. Jacob and I have had the opportunity to play Dawn of the Monsters early, so watch out for the review of that on the channel later this week. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.